Okay. Let's look at our activity. Testing. How does it do whenever I'm doing this? Is still the same. It's not too bad, seems like. Okay. I think we can pull this off. Okay, so we are second course in Ableton Live 9. Gonna go over signal flow today. Well, I'm probably gonna make 2 videos today, but right now I'm gonna go over signal flow. This won't take too long. It's pretty basic, and you may have already figured it out on your own. So, I'll show you some quick keys. So, quick key from yesterday that I didn't give you was Command:, and that pulls up your preferences. It's a really helpful one. If you hit escape, it'll go away. So Command, pretty sure that's a colon. Couldn't remember what it's called, so I didn't say it yesterday. But the colon with the less than symbol on it. Okay, so now signal flow. Back to that. So sound starts in Ableton within your device rack, or within your device rack of your track. So we'll go over this too real quick. An audio track, to create one is Command T, and if you want to create a MIDI track, Command Shift T. And it's super helpful as you're making stuff on the go. So for either an audio track or a MIDI track, and you can also kind of move these around and change the shape. For audio track or MIDI track, it's the same thing though. So your sound is going to start in the device rack, which is this bottom area down here. And you can do Shift Tab will basically flip that this lower device rack here. And you gotta see there's 2 sides of it. One side is looking at the actual devices and effects and whatever synthesizers, VSTs you're gonna put on there to make the sound. And then the other side, essentially, once you have a clip here, we'll create a clip to. The other side is going to be where your sound is being shown, or your MIDI. So this is a MIDI clip, and so this is where you would type in your actual notation. And then obviously with the sound one, what you would be looking at if we had an actual sound clip up here would be the bit of sound that is registered there. So we can go through all of that. Okay, and there's lots of parameters in there. We'll go over that some other time. So basically, okay, so your signal starts down here, right? So it's both sides of it. This is looking at the sound or the clip itself, and then the others are actual devices as you layer them. So as the sound travels up through here, you're seeing it coming down through the audio flow, has the routing options here. And so when you get into here, you can actually, so this is going to be the option on the top one is basically going to be to send audio to it. So if you want to send audio from another track to this track, you could go over here and say I want 8 audio, and now signal from this track is going to be traveling into here, right? And you can easily find that out. And you'd also probably set it up, right, to where they're going out to the next one, in the one you want it to go to. And you would set this to in, which is to allow it to monitor the actual sound, and try to remember to turn on the volume for listeners. So we're figuring out some of this as we go. I'm definitely new at all of this teaching part of it. I've been playing with Ableton for 5 years now, and yeah, here we go. Okay, so the next bit we need to go over, okay, so you're able to route the audio from each track essentially to anywhere else, and you also have your send tracks as well. And as you set up a send, testing, hello, all right, trying to get static. When you actually have a send track, send over here, we'll just say dry, we'll call it. You look down here, and I have the option to send to a drive. Yeah, right. Okay, so right. So this would be to right. So if you wanted to send this audio to a return track, you could dial one in and send it to it. Okay, so now going over send and returns was one of the things I wanted to do next. So our quick keys up here on your in and outs right there is Command Option. Hold them at the same time and hit I, and that's going to toggle that open. And then your sends is the same Command Option S. And all of the parameters on here, so like your levels here is Command Option M. That will toggle that open for you as well. Okay, so as the signal is traveling down through your track, it then passes through the sends, and depending on how the sends are set up is going to decide how that interacts. If they're set to post, then it's going to occur as you see it, to where the sound will travel from your track into the send level, into the send returned. Like, so if we have A, we'll send a certain amount there, and that will actually be processed here, the actual sound, and then your final audio though is still coming out here. So you'll have the amount that you send to the send track coming out here, but your actual master volume is still this one. This will be just the tiny amount here. It's yeah, as you play with it, you'll kind of understand that a bit more. When you switch it over to pre though, basically what happens is that you lose this as your master fader, and this is now the final track volume in the signal flow. All the videos I've watched on this, it's generally used in like a club setting, in a house mix where you would have multiple monitors set up for yourself, and then your actual studio or your house speakers for the audience, and you would be able to decide which audio you want going to which mix at what level. So as a general rule, you can experiment, have fun. Post is what you'll probably be more comfortable with. You'll find that when you get into pre, the levels will get kind of crazy on you. And what pre is basically doing also too is it's sending your entire audio track or MIDI track directly to the return track. So all of the sound is being processed by this, and this is no longer a dry wet for your return track. Instead, you have a completely wet signal that you're only controlling the master volume of that wet signal. And then this here is acting essentially as a volume as well, but it's still going to be a wet signal. and then when you bring this all the way to zero, or in negative infinity, it's going to still have signal coming depending on where this is. Okay. So signal flow, boom, boom, and then essentially, if you're on post, like we said, this is going to be your final chain, and obviously this is left and right stereo panning. If you play with that, figure that out quick. This is going to be your mute button, solo button, so how that works, right? And then record, obviously, and if you're when you get into DJing with all of this, you can switch over. You've got your solo cue option. We'll go over that at some other point in time. You have to have another audio interface set up to be able to run an external out for mixing in your headphones. Okay, so that concludes this chapter. I may have missed something. Yeah, your cue in and your cue out and your master out just essentially decides where your cue is being sent to whenever you switch this over, and your master out to what signal, which is it's more advanced stuff.